Ubisoft is a catastrophe. And we talked about this the other day. And I'm going to start this video off just as a quick refresher of what's happening just last week. But now, on top of this story for their Halifax studio shutting down, they have additional layoffs across the world that are happening right now. And I don't think it's the last of it by any stretch. Initially, last week, Ubisoft closes their Halifax studio, which coincidentally just unionized, although they claim it had nothing to do with it. 71 jobs lost. I would argue, by the way, that it looked really bad with the timing, like it was super sus. But now, a week later, with additional jobs being cut at the company, it actually might help. A quote unquote voluntary career transition program at Ubisoft's massive studio announced in October 2025 apparently wasn't enough to get the job done. And so now Ubisoft is going back to the old fashioned way of doing things by simply laying people off. Earlier today, and this is a quote from Ubisoft to IGN, earlier today, we informed all employees in our Swedish studios, Massive Entertainment, and Ubisoft Stockholm about a proposed organizational restructure that may affect approximately 55 roles across Malmo and Stockholm. This restructure follows the completion of the voluntary leave program launched during fall of 2025, a finalized long-term roadmap, and a completed staffing and appointment process, which together have provided clearer visibility into the structure and capacity required to support the two studios' work and sustainability over time. AKA, our company is failing terribly, and we need to let as many people go as possible because we don't know how to survive. Massive Entertainment, based in Malmo, Sweden, is a developer for The Division, as well as, oh, there you go, Star Wars Outlaws, which, if I remember correctly, they also had a layoff last year for that division, and Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, which has been killing it lately because the new movie came out and it's been hitting all-time high on Steam concurrent player counts. So that was a unexpected blow up in purchases and playtime for that. While Ubisoft Stockholm is currently working on an unannounced new game, Ubisoft said the long-term direction for both studios will not be impacted by the layoffs. This is actually the second round of layoffs at Ubisoft this year, which is a wild thing to say on January 13th. It's going to be a weekly thing now for Ubisoft. Every week, there's going to be a new division shut down. The cuts come just a week after the closure of Ubisoft Halifax, the decision that occurred just 2 weeks after the studio voted in favor of forming a union. That's the story we covered last week. Ubisoft said the unionization vote was not a factor in the decision to close the studio, but was merely the result of ongoing company-wide actions to streamline operations, improve efficiency, and probably most importantly for Ubisoft, reduce costs. Ubisoft has unquestionably had a rough go of it in recent years. And while Assassin's Creed Shadows was a success,
I'm not gay no more.
putting out one hit game is a long way from demonstrating the consistency and reliability needed to keep consumers and shareholders happy. You gotta be kidding me with this. Like, I've seen cope from journos hanging on by a thread when it's dead to rights, proven wrong across the board, and they're hanging on to how was Assassin's Creed Shadows a success? Because Ubisoft told their investors in a conference call that it was. That's your source. This Ubisoft. They seem like a really trustworthy organization. What could possibly go wrong? They would never lie to the shareholders or maybe stretch the truth a little bit when things aren't going well. No, let's trust Ubisoft on that game was a success, quote unquote. Bigger structural changes are coming on that front. Ubisoft announced a partnership with Tencent in 2025 to launch a new company called Vanguard Studios that will take over development of its Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six games. Again, if your game is a success, you do not form a new division and sell part of your company and give them ownership of the game that was a success. That's not how business works. This game did not do well. It did not perform to the expectations they had going into it. Allegedly, what was it, $200 to $300 million put into making that game? X to doubt that it came anywhere close to making that money back. Some massive cope towards the end of that. And you would think that was the end of the bad news for Ubisoft. But one day later, an update. WCCF Tech. Ubisoft layoffs reportedly continue at Growtopia Studio, Ubisoft Abu Dhabi. Update on January 14th. Following the publishing of this article, a statement sent to GameIndustry.biz confirmed that Ubisoft has laid off 29 developers from its Ubisoft Abu Dhabi studio. This is a quote from Ubisoft. In November, Ubisoft made the difficult decision to restructure its Abu Dhabi mobile studio, discontinuing some projects in order to focus on Growtopia. The statement begins, as well as this change impacted 29 members. We remain deeply grateful for their contributions and are providing support to them throughout this transition. Ubisoft starting 2026 in similar fashion to how it started 2025. Assassin's Creed company shut down its Leamington-based studio in January 2025, laying off 185 people. To start 2026, between the shuttering of Ubisoft Halifax, yesterday's layoffs at Massive Entertainment and Ubisoft Stockholm, Ubisoft has already laid off an estimated 126 developers. Now that number is definitely a little higher, as a new report from Game Developer reveals layoffs have continued at Ubisoft Abu Dhabi. According to the report, cuts at the Abu Dhabi studio began back in December 2025 and have continued into the new year. Some staff, like former art director Daniel Kovakis, sharing on his personal LinkedIn page last month that he had been laid off. I took some time to reflect after being impacted by the recent layoffs at Ubisoft Abu Dhabi. And at the risk of sounding a bit sentimental, I just want to say how grateful I am for these 3.5 years. Signing off as a Ubisoft Abu Dhabi's social media manager, as I've been affected by the recent layoffs, added Reza Verandano, who also shared the news that they had been laid off last month. I'm incredibly grateful for the 4 years and 9 months I spent there. It is sad, by the way, like full transparency in the game industry. It is like a family at the studio. So when this stuff happens, it cuts deep. It hurts. But at the same time, it's like, what games have you been putting out there? And you could even argue some of the developers at Ubisoft are talented. Like, there is talent to be found there. I would push the direction more of what the people leading the company were selecting for, not just the games to move forward with, but the storylines, the main characters, the design choices, the inclusivity and diversity, the LGBTQ plus narrative being pushed everywhere in everything that they do, permeating all of their games. I'm fine with it. If you want to do it in a game or another game and it makes sense in the game, have at it. I'm probably not going to play it, but okay, have at it. But every single game, like, bro, what do you do? You're alienating the very audience that came to love your company years ago. Whoever was in charge got indoctrinated with the mind virus and joined the cult and was like, we need to push this direction on everything that we do at this company. No, that's not how you do it. I remember the other day when I was covering the Rainbow Six hack, the official Rainbow Six X account, they, them. It's a fucking game studio, bro. So when I say it's permeated the entire company, this is what I mean. This is why you're failing. This is why your stock is doing this. Call me a bigot, a racist, a homophobe, all you want. The reason you're mad at me is because I'm right. Other former staff, like game support specialist Zohab Sharif, shared the news only yesterday, indicating that the cuts have continued into 2026. Due to recent restructuring, my journey at Ubisoft Abu Dhabi is coming to an end after an amazing 4.5 years. A total of 60 people, according to the website. According to Ubisoft, these cuts are part of the company-wide actions to streamline operations and improve efficiency and reduce costs. Once again, the same line that they give on everything. That is the long and the short of what's happening with Ubisoft. And you know what's interesting about this is the other day I was going to cover this story about the second round of layoffs with the Ubisoft Stockholm and Massive Entertainment. I was like, it's just more layoffs from Ubisoft. I mean, that's a story that it's a day that ends in Y at this point. But the fact that the very next day it happened at another studio, and this is now 3 studios being either shut down or massively destroyed in the span of a week and a half into 2 weeks of 2026, like 10 days of that has been layoffs from Ubisoft. Not a great start. And it makes me wonder, if you are an employee at Ubisoft currently right now, how you would feel going to work tomorrow and the next day and the next day. How confident are you if you've been there for 7+ years, 8+ years, knowing that it's just a ticking clock for your job security? We'll see. Not if, but when there's more layoffs at Ubisoft, and I'll definitely keep you guys posted. But for now, I will play this clip.
I'm fired.